you are quite well known on social media as the GOAT, and I don't know the full story, but I know it's come from, I think, the NRL roast page. But talk to me about it, because I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So it's a couple of things. The Cam Smith, where I was trying to play the ball and hit him in the nuts, and Cam McGuinness jumped over to score. That's the NRL roast grabbed hold of that, and then that sort of fell into me off season, where I had a really big off season, and a few videos got around me, and from that.
The prodigal son, Chad Townsend.
What a great kick.
And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine Holmes. Cronulla's in again.
Wow.
Chad Townsend, brilliant.
Yes, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show, and today's episode is proudly presented by Cronulla Beer Co., your newest local craft beer. Make sure you head on the website www.cronullabeerco.com.au for more information, and check out the social page at Cronulla Beer Co. That brings me into today's guest and former teammate of mine. We did spend a year together, 2017, which we might get into a little bit later on. But Jeremy Latimore, mate, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
What's been happening, mate? Retired at the end of last year. What's been happening in retirement? What are you up to these days?
Yep, so it's been a roller coaster. I thought rugby league was a roller coaster, but retiring into COVID world has been interesting. But I know that sort of hit everyone at all levels. So it's been a challenge with. So I'm in mortgage broking, which is I'm sort of on my own there, because I obviously work under someone else's banner, but I'm Jeremy Latimore, the mortgage broker. And that's been challenging, and I still work with the Dragons a couple of days a week in the partnership. So it's going good.
Awesome. So mortgage broking. I mean, how did that come about? How did you get into that?
Through one of both mine and your old mate Tony Kane.
Yeah, the great TC.
Yeah, so I finished the uni degree when I was at Penrith, and wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Started doing some work with Pepper Money, who were a sponsor at Penrith at the time. Yep. Started going over to North Sydney, working the office there, and that wasn't really for me. I didn't really enjoy going over there and being in that corporate environment. Mm-hmm. Tony had just started a business down in the Shire and asked me to start coming in there and learning the tricks of the trade, and I really liked that, and I did that for the last couple of years of my football career. And when I retired, I went in with Tone, and 3 months after that he pulled up stumps. So that was one of my challenges, but no, look, it's something. I've always been an avid sort of investor in property, and I love all things about the industry. Except dealing with the banks, but it's definitely challenging, but it's something I can see myself in long term.
And how is, you just mentioned, I guess, like the COVID life, and obviously it's, like you said, it's impacted all of us, but like the stress levels compared to like a professional athlete compared to like now, like there's obviously still some stress, but is there much differences?
Yeah, definitely. We're not getting judged on everything you do on a football field, or, you get little wins and losses, but, nothing compared to go out and win a football game in front of 50,000 people.
You're not copping DMs on a weekly basis.
Correct. You might get a disgruntled client, but I haven't. Touch wood, I've been pretty lucky.
Put a few fires out.
Good clients, and it's really just dealing with pains in the arse at the bank. But it's been good, but it's a different sort of roller coaster to rugby league.
And you mentioned that you're doing some partnership works still with the Dragons. Talk to me a bit about that role.
Yeah, so it's just like the game day, like looking after people in hospitality, keeping current partners happy. It's sort of a bit of an ambassador role too, so you get to go to events and play golf next Friday actually. So it's great to have the connection with the football club, and obviously not on the level I was hoping, because we weren't really allowed to interact with the group this year, but still obviously was allowed to go to games and, been there on game day. That was sort of when I know we spoke about one of the questions be when you knew it was time to retire. Yep. There was a game I remember being at this year. It was a Thursday night, and the boys played the Roosters, and they lost, and the boys on the bench played about 20 minutes, and that would have been my role the previous year, and they had to do fitness on the field after the game to top up, and I just remember watching that going far out. I'm so happy I'm not doing that. Like that really hit the nail in the coffin for me.
That you made a good decision.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you mentioned before that COVID, and it's obviously like, you know, we just said it's touched on everyone, but you know, you being, I guess, in the housing industry, in the mortgage industry, how has it affected like your work and I guess the housing industry as a whole?
Yep. So in terms of for myself, like I was going really good, building some great traction, and then the double whammy of sort of Tone decided to get out of the industry into COVID. Like I was there for a couple of months. I was just looking after my son, trying to educate him at home, and you know, I had no work going on.
Homeschool,
Yeah, it was really tough, and then come out the back of that, and it was slow there for a bit, but now, you know, it's sort of seems like it's normal. Like you talk about the Sydney property market, especially where we are in the Shire, like it's probably above like what it was before COVID. And you know, I don't know if people have, you know, they go to the in-demand places now, but obviously there's markets across you know, New South Wales and Australia who have been affected. But you know, I think in Sydney we've been pretty lucky, and in terms of the, you know, it's more with the lending, and you know, the banks want to know income and how your industry is affected by COVID. But yeah, at the moment things are good.
Have the banks brought in anything since COVID's hit, like extra for people to ensure that they can afford loans or anything like that?
Well, they sort of have a couple of questions that they'll ask, especially for self-employed. And if you're PAYG and they see JobKeeper on their payslip, that's obviously a bit of a red flag. But no, like at the moment, it's all good. And in terms of lending, like they're talking about relaxing things in the new year to stimulate the economy and get people borrowing money, which you know, that should only help us.
Well, interest rates obviously at, you know, an all-time low at the moment. Does that make your job easier?
It's an easy sell, yeah. Like the banks are giving away money. And, you know, you compare a 2.2 interest rate, or say on an investment, a 2.8 locked in 2 years, and you're getting a rental yield of 4%, you're 1.2% up. So it does make sense if, you know, that's an avenue you want to explore for investing. But, yeah, when they're giving away money, it is a good time to sort of be in the industry.
So, guys, if you need a mortgage broker, go and see Lats ASAP. But all right, we'll move into a bit of footy, mate. Absolute NRL veteran, Big Latsy. 182 NRL games over 11 years with 5 different clubs. What are some of the fondest memories you have of playing in the NRL?
Very well travelled. Yeah, look, mate, I grew up in a country town in Port Macquarie, and always dreamt of playing the NRL, and I had to work really hard to get there. I didn't debut till I was 23, and yeah, obviously touched on 5 clubs. I went around the world. Hey, we went to New Zealand, and
yep.
But yeah, look, it's something I really, really never took for granted as a guy who, you know, I was on the fringe a lot and had to work hard for everything I got, and definitely. I realised I wasn't one of the most talented guys. So, and I know over the last 3 or 4 years of my career, I was just like, this is the best job in the world. And you go into training every day to play football with your mates, you're training hard, you're feeling good about yourself, and you know, you're taking the piss, and that's obviously something I used to love, and winding the boys up, and you go into an office environment, it's a fair bit different. And but yeah, look, I loved it. You know, you're playing football to get paid, and then you're playing with your mates, and you know, you're playing in front of people. So it's something that I loved and never took for granted, and something I look back on fondly.
Yeah, definitely. Look, you know, when I get asked this question, I'm like the question. I mean, the time playing games and winning games. Like, I think that's, after a win, it's like it's the best feeling. But the time like throughout the week where it's like between training sessions, or you know, going down the cafe, that's the time where you're like, man, it really hits home that it is the dream job, isn't it?
100%, mate. And yeah, you lifting weights, you're running on the field, you're feeling good, you're tired, but you know, you're feeling good about yourself. You're going for a coffee, you're having a laugh, and then obviously
with your best mates.
Exactly. And then obviously, yeah, there's plenty of downsides to rugby league, and it is a roller coaster. And depending whether you're winning, you're losing, the coaches are talking to you. You won't look at you, or you're in your own brain going, I don't know, he likes me this week. What's going on here? And you know, after a game, you might be there staring at the ceiling, going, oh shit, that first run, oh that first tackle, you're going over everything. Yeah, it is a pretty cool job. So
11 years in the top grade. What was your most like successful, enjoyable season? Do you have one?
Yeah, I got a couple. Like I really, 2014, I played every game except 2 for suspension, and Penrith, we had a really good year.
Why'd you get suspended?
Crusher. Oh. Yeah, that was the only time I ever got suspended, was crushers. Yeah, the wrestling. Yeah, exactly. But 2014, we beat the Roosters the first week of the finals when no one gives a chance. And I remember our old mate Jimmy Maloney trying to ring me all night the night before to make a bit of a personal bet, which I won't repeat on on the potty. But when we did beat him, I chased him around the field to try and claim the winning bet. But,
Yes.
but then we lost the prelim to Canterbury. But just that whole year, and we had a lot of good young guys now who are the superstars in that team coming through. And 2018 at the Dragons, we won the first 8 straight or first 7. And you know what it's like. You experienced it at Cronulla in 2016 when you're just winning and everything's happening.
It's a vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, and I had pretty good years them years, and always look back and, when things are good on the field, things are good off it, it's just the feeling in the camp, you're rolling into training and, things are happening.
100%. You just briefly touched on Jimmy Maloney and for people out there who might not know, Latsy, you guys are quite close.
Yep.
Came into first grade sort of similar age. Tell me a bit about how you met Jimmy.
Yep. So, unfortunately, I got I got moved in with him at 20 years of age at Parramatta. We're both I come from Cronulla when I was in the lower grades, and he come from North Sydney Bearsborough, and we lived together for 2 years, and he was a pain in my ass, but he's a lovable dude, and we had a lot of good times, and he went to Melbourne that next year, and I ended up debuting at Parramatta. Yep. Then we followed each other, the New Zealand Warriors, and played a couple of years there. And obviously we played that year together in 2017 with you. And, we're still best mates today, and we're both in each other's groom's party. And that was when he just signed at the Roosters, actually, when he was in my groom's party, and he's up on stage inviting everyone to Nick Politis' house for a barbecue. And he's a unique character, but he's a guy that everyone loves to be around. But, he's not. I wouldn't say he's a professional, but he's just a friggin' winner.
No, he's definitely not a professional, but he's the man, isn't he?
Oh, he's the best.
He's one of the great blokes to have around.
And he's in another semi-final this weekend, and I was looking.
And they'll probably win.
Yeah, I had a look this morning. They're about $3.28 to beat St Helens, but it won't surprise me if they win. And with him and Flair, big game players in that team. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. What don't you miss about playing in the NRL?
Preseason, yesterday the Dragon boys are back, and I did a pre-season under Anthony Griffin, and the first session we did back then was 2 2.5s and 2 1.2s, and the boys did the same thing yesterday, and I was just grinning ear to ear thinking of the head noise, and you come off 6-7 weeks of just getting on the piss and not looking after yourself into that. And
jeez.
So that's definitely something I don't miss. Obviously, the positive is you start feeling good about yourself, maybe in about 2 months, but at 2 months of head noise. And
we don't start till December the 9th, but going back into preseason, and because you obviously have a break where you need to rest your body, you're not at nowhere near your peak fitness levels, but those first few sessions, especially when it's hot, it's it's tough, isn't it? Mentally, probably the toughest. Would you agree? Mentally?
Yeah, 100%. It's just a mental battle, and you sort of can get yourself in a rhythm. And early in my career, I used to flog myself over the off-season, so I'd come back fit, try and impress. But by the end of my career, I couldn't give a shit. I drank the whole time and, smoked a few durries and come in day one. And durry was coming out the ears. But, it's something that, as you get older, you realise you're going to get fit. You just got to, ride out that head noise for the first month or two.
Yeah, I agree. And as you get older in the NRL, a lot of the senior players they get looked after. They've been around for a long time. They've shown that they can handle the fitness levels. And I think if you can come back in shape and you can hit the ground running, that to me is it's the perfect entrance into preseason. Yeah. But I've got another question for you. This is a question that I came up in the top of my head, so I think it's a pretty good one. But if you were NRL CEO, what would you change about how the NRL is run at the moment? Would you change any rule or anything, any on-field rule or off-field rule or anything? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, look, Volandi's has sort of come in and just done everything at the go.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable, and, things he's done is just... As an outsider now, as a fan, he's just unreal. Everything he touches turns to gold. So, I don't know. Obviously, I feel like at times, and for myself, I was pretty relaxed over the last couple of years of my career and being myself, and I got away with it. But a lot of the boys have to put up, barriers and...
That's all good. That's his phone's just on. He's going to flip it on silent.
I thought I put it on silent. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, just allowing boys to be themselves because you know, and I know you're a massive American sport fan where them guys are just. They talk about how good they are and how much fun they're having, and they embrace it over there. Whereas we've still got that tall poppy culture.
Yep, definitely.
So I don't know if that's more of a NRL thing or just our culture. But
I mean, even like I saw like after the Melbourne Storm won the grand final, like they were wearing around these vintage T-shirts that had, I think they had like 6 rings on them, and they had the rings on there that were banned by the NRL for the years they were over the salary cap. And then I saw an article where it's like NRL bans Storm from wearing a T-shirt. And I was just like, how can you ban someone from wearing a T-shirt? Like, I don't think that's possible. But then again, it's like for them to, to show that it's like their personality, they don't really care what anyone else says. They can just
100%.
They're going to be themselves.
Totally. Actually, what one thing I would try and change is the friggin' media landscape, and people like yourself and Den and Kemp and the NRL roast. You use it and YKTR Sports. You use it taking it direct from player to fan, and there's no bullshit in between. And even something I was reading about Denny Widley yesterday, trying to rip into Cam Smith about something he did, and I was just like, there's just no need to comment. They're just trying to stir shit, and he's made a career out of doing it. But that sort of stuff with the media pisses me off.
Yeah, I love all those guys you just mentioned, like just putting stuff out there, especially Den and Ice and the YKTR boys, like putting some awesome stuff out there. But for me, if I was to change one thing, I think it would probably be around third-party payments, because at the moment there's like a cap on how much teams can have.
Actually, that and IP, so intellectual property,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
And for me, like, I know if I gave you time, you'd be able to think of 1,000 things on this, and I'll put you on the spot here. But for me, third-party payments, I would have no cap on third-party. And I know some teams will say, like, look, the Broncos get, like, so much third-party. But if they can get the money, like, let them get the money. 100%. Like, for me, it's like us as players, we have, a small window to earn some money that is, we can use for the rest of our lives. And I feel like there's a cap on there. And I've heard of players like get asked to do like promos at Bunnings for a few $1,000s, but have had it turned down by the NRL because of conflicts with sponsorship and things like that. And that's one thing that I would change.
100%. Too many barriers there, as well as the intellectual property. Chad Townsend should be able to sell Chad Townsend jerseys. And
definitely.
But NRL just have the licensing, and they got no control. Like, players have no control over anything. They're making money and bank everywhere, and the players can't.
Definitely, because
make that a bit extra money.
If you think like James Tedesco, brought out a merchandise Tedesco. Yeah, like he had a white shirt with like maybe his logo on the front, or even if there was like a rooster or something like that, and then he had Tedesco on the top with a 1 on the back. I reckon he'd sell thousands of them.
100%.
Thousands of them.
Yep.
But he's actually not allowed to do that at the moment due to the IP rules and restrictions, which... hopefully we might see it get changed one day, but
like you touched on, I was on the RLPA board, and Jimmy Maloney, he was on that board, and mate, Jimmy can give off an indication he's not that intelligent, mate. He's so smart and articulates himself so well, and that was one of his greatest gripes is the IP and not being able to use your personal brand. Jimmy could have plenty of things over the years he could have sold. Could have brought out a barbecue.
Barbecue Alone Edition.
But then that is definitely something which, hopefully in the next CBA, the RLPA can make some more progress, because I know that was a gripe on the last CBA.
Yep, definitely. All right, I got another question here. Now, you are quite well known on social media as the GOAT, and I don't know the full story, but I know it's come from, I think, the NRL Roast page. But talk to me about it, because I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. The Cam Smith, where I was trying to play the ball and hit him in the nuts, and Cam McGuinness jumped over to score. That's the NRL Roast grabbed hold of that, and then that sort of fell into me off season, where I had a really big off season, and a few videos got around of me, and from that.
Was that in Bali when you?
Bali, I had a couple of good nights over there. Yeah,
fell in the water.
Split my head open. So after that, 2018, that's when the goats sort of come about. And even on the weekend, I was out on the Central Coast and there was goats coming from everywhere. It was quite funny.
Really?
But yeah. Fair
Just
dinkum.
people,
Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's a good laugh. And, you know, you flattered me. I enjoy having a good time and having a bit of a relax. So I sort of embraced it and had a bit of fun with it.
I love that. I mean, now that you're retired, I mean, you might be able to make goat T-shirts and put your face on it.
No NRL on it, but
Yeah.
they'll come hunting. Don't know if anyone will buy it, but
Yeah, 100%.
Roasty will.
Yeah. Maybe chuck on a white KTR merch.
Get the boys. Not a bad idea, actually.
Mate, I'm sure they'll do
Little
it.
partnership coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So retired at the end of 2019. Now you briefly touched on that you did some stuff to lead into your retirement, but tell me about how you prepared, because I'm getting towards the latter stages of my career and I've still got a few years left, but I'm someone who likes to be planned and organised and have my options open and things like that. And for people who might not know, when you get to the age of about, I think it's 27, you kind of get into the transition phase of your career where the NRL will start to give you some videos and some tools to use. And during the off season or during the year, Lats was a part of the NRL sort of transition team with the RLPA, where there were some videos and to help players with the transition. You and Nat, I saw presented one of them. But talk to me a bit about that.
The whole transition thing.
The transition thing, the videos, and what the whole point of was to try and put the point out to those players.
Yeah, well, the reality is you think you're ready, but you're bloody not. And like we've just touched on before about how good it is going to training with your mates every day and training and stuff. And I remember November comes around and last year, and I'm heading into work, and by lunchtime I'm twiddling my thumbs, going far out. This is gonna be hard. Yeah. And and I was well prepared. And you're another guy who I know you're very well prepared, and you've got a few things going on, and you get there, and the reality is, in talking to, I train with Luke Lewis every day, and he's 2 or 3 years retired, and he's still like, man, I still struggle with this, and that's sort of the message we're trying to give through these the transition seminar is, you need to educate yourself, you need to work while you're still playing, and find something that you want to do when you're retired, because you do have a lot of time when you're still playing rugby league in terms of spare time to build another career. And, when you do retire, you can hit the ground running, because the reality is you think you're ready, but you're not ready.
Yeah. Not until it actually hits you in the face where it's like, boom, what am I doing now? But you just mentioned that you're training with, Luke Lewis every day, and Latsy and the boys are being on the same gym as the boys. Body Fit Marina, thanks for looking after us.
Legends.
But yes, they are legends down there. But you guys head down there quite early, and I briefly had a chat to you at the gym about what your kind of morning routine is now, and you mentioned to me that you're up at 5 a.m. every day, go through a little bit of a routine, head to the gym. But talk to me a bit about your morning routine, and I guess why you started that.
Yeah. Just quickly, that just comes back to rugby league, where you're told to be, what to do, all that. So I come across the 5 a.m. club book and
just bought it.
Did you? Yeah, mad. And
after you told me about it,
I told you, bro, mate. So my wife gets up and goes to the gym at 4:45. So I'd just lay in bed for another 45, then start to get prepped to go to the gym when she'd come back, and read about that. Sorry, and I heard Hugh Jackman on a podcast talking where he read for half an hour every morning, then meditated. So that was what actually started it. I started doing that a month before I come across the 5 a.m. book, and then so now I sort of I try and read for 20 minutes, meditate, journal, gratitude, and I've got listen to an audio book every morning. So just try and use that hour before I go to the gym to get myself primed and ready to go.
I love that. I absolutely love that. How do you think doing that, do you think it's made you more productive? Do you think it's made you more focused? Do you think it's made you a better father? Talk to me a bit about that.
Yeah, it's just a great way to start the day, into then going and, ripping into the gym and having a sauna every morning. But by, 8 o'clock, I've already been up for 3 hours and I'm feeling unreal. And then you head off to work. by night time though, I'm ready for bed at about 9 o'clock. But yeah. Look, I think the meditation, like I used to do it a little bit when I played, but I don't know. I must have been doing it probably. I was sort of just taking the piss. But
yeah, how do you go with it now? Can you
really good.
Do it for long?
Yeah, and it's so quiet at that time. The kids aren't awake, and it's just the best time to do it. And on the 5 a.m. club, there's like an app that you can follow, and he sort of talks you through it. And if you do it for 66 days, it becomes a habit.
Oh, really?
Yes, and actually the book before I read that was Atomic Habits. So, just trying to put things in place to limit the head noise and, just make sure I'm making the most of every day.
I absolutely love that. That's awesome. Well, Lati, throughout your career, I mean, you were a big advocate for the players. You know, you mentioned before, you jumped on the RLPA board. You got such a great legacy among the players and what you did for the players. What advice would you give to players? What advice would you give to a player who's just coming into the NRL? He's 19, he's just made his debut and he's just signed a 3-year deal with his team. What advice would you give to that kid?
Well, first, and this is what player managers should be doing, which a lot of them don't, but, should be, starting to look to how you can make your money work for you. So whether that's investing into property, invested into, start investing in index funds because, if you're going to be in the NRL for 12 years and you put...
Better off there than in your bank account.
100%. Put $200 a month away, and that's not a lot of money, but you do that for 12 years, and when you retire in 12 years, that's going to be a lot of money, but then you're going to do it for another 30 or 40 years until you're due to retire anyway.
I love that.
Yeah, invest, educate, make sure you... doesn't have to be uni. I think that's an old school thing now. You've got people who are entrepreneurs and building businesses, but find something that you're passionate about, and on your days off you can do that. Like, still enjoy yourself because you're only young, so you go for coffee, go for a surf, do what you do, but try and find time to study and educate, and just never take anything for granted because as you touched on, I played 11 years across 5 clubs, 2 of them twice. Trivia question right there. Most off the bench.
But
how
many tries? Just quickly.
7. 7. Couple denied. But it's just something you should never take for granted. I hung around that fringe for a long time, and I never earned massive money, but I retired and I've done okay.
What are your thoughts on, I guess, the perception of players that every NRL player, earns really good money or $1 million, and because the reality is that's not the case, is it?
100%, and you could probably work it out yourself, but there's probably 4 or 5 players in every squad who takes up a nucleus of the salary cap, and then you got your middle range players who might be on a couple hundred, but then you got I don't know however many on bloody 100K. So the reality is, it's good money for a 21-year-old, but when that 21-year-old can't get a contract or is retired, he's going to go back to 50 or 60K, depending what he's done in that time in the NRL to make sure he can hit the ground running when he retires. So there is obviously a stigma that football players are overpaid, and they shouldn't be getting the money they do. But the reality is, it's a tough environment to work in every day. Everyone's judging everything you do, and the reality is not everyone's on freaking good money.
Definitely, and the reality is that there's players, there would be that many players right now that are off contract that don't have contracts next year and are either just waiting for their manager to ring them or waiting for an opportunity. They stop getting paid now, not sure what to do, and potentially have to take up a part-time job, like first graders, guys that would have played over half the games this year who probably don't have a contract, who are working right now, that. People don't understand that happens. And then there's guys as well who have wives, families as well, who are out of contract waiting for calls from their manager. That's a stressful part of the game, isn't it?
100%, mate. It is. It's definitely something that's not spoken about a lot in the mainstream media. And again, touching on you boys, you use sort of the guys that bring it to the forefront, and it gets spoken about a little bit because not a lot of people realise the reality of rugby league. And people have kids, and some wives don't work. So definitely, I've been very lucky in that aspect with my wife having a good job and sort of ease the pressure on me.
How has your wife supported you throughout your NRL career?
Oh, mate, she's been rock solid. She followed me to New Zealand and around Sydney. So,
How good's that?
Yeah, no, it's been good, and she's got a really good job now. She looks after the milk lab, sort of almond milks and macadamia milks, so she's got a good job. So now it's my turn to pick up the kids from school and
How good's that?
get them home and get them fed and ride that roller coaster from 4:30 to about 6:30. She reckons the morning shift's harder, but I call BS on that because she gets them ready in the morning when I'm at the gym. But it's you know yourself, mate. It's tough with kids. And
Every day's a different day.
and they don't give a shit what sort of day you've had because their day is a lot worse than mine, apparently.
Oh man, I love that. And that's just back quickly, I guess, the podcast, and like I want people to know like what the reality is of NRL, and I want people to like understand that, not everyone's on $1 million. Yeah, some players get paid extraordinarily well, but they deserve every single cent of it. And I will always, and I know you will too, we will always back the players. Being a player, it's like if you're a player in the NRL, boom, you're all of a sudden like you're in this special elite club where it's like we have each other's backs. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, here's two examples, right? In the media in the last week or two, one of my best mates, Josh Mansell, has been told 2 days after a grand final that he's not needed anymore and he won't be part of the squad next year if he stays there.
Yeah.
Then you got Josh Alloway. The club won't let him go because he can go get a bigger offer.
Yeah.
To go to Manly, and that's the reality. If you're no good to the club, see you later.
Yep.
But if the club still sees value in you, that they'll dig their heels in and say you're staying. But at the end of the day, like, Josh has been at that club for 9 years.
Yeah, I know.
And Josh is Alloway. He's got this chance to go get a payday, and the clubs. I read something. I don't know what his name is. Lee. Someone. He's the CEO, maybe saying, "No, we're not letting him go. He can go mow lawns or whatever."
Yeah, right.
And that's just
Because that again, like that is like fans will go up in arms about if a player wants to get out of their contract. Like the biggest one that comes to my mind is probably Ryan Madson in the last 12 months. Like there was a big upheaval when he had a contract at the Tigers but wanted to get out because he could get more money at Parramatta and kind of dug his heels in and did whatever and was only wanted to make the most of his situation where he could earn some more money. Yeah. And it's like, well, fans were pretty angry because he left, but it's like you can't deny the bloke. He wants to get more money. Like he's putting himself first. And sometimes in this industry, you have to put yourself first. And clubs like Penrith have just put themselves first when they want to tell Source that he's not wanted. But now,
because they see potentially in a younger guy in the squad who'll be on less money.
He'll be less money and he'll fit into the salary cap. And then, but no fans are sort of being upset towards Penrith.
Yeah,
but I think people need to understand that it happens both sides. So you can't, be upset at a player if he wants to leave for more money. Yeah,
and that's the reality. It's a business. It's always a business when a club asks the player to leave. Yeah. But when it's a player goes, there's no loyalty. Yeah, there's no loyalty. But mate, that's something. I got told it for a number of clubs. Sorry, mate, you're not needed anymore. But whatever, cop it on the chin, go on to the next club. But then there's other times you might leave for an opportunity. Yeah, and in Josh Alloway's case, he's getting offered a massive deal out. They've lost Adam Fanua-Blake. Yep. You can't deny a guy that chance.
Definitely. I 100% agree with you there. Let's move into some fan questions people have thrown in. We've got about 5 here. Well, the first one is from Matt 8 Ranley. Who are the 3 teammates you would want on Mad Monday?
That I've played with?
That you've played with.
Yeah. Maloney. We've had a lot of good times. Mansour.
Yep. The Sauce. Sauce is good value, isn't he?
Oh, he's great, mate. Oh. I love winding that guy up.
He's a legend.
The third one, I don't know. Me and Yui Aiken had a lot of good times together at the Dragons and in season 2 when we probably shouldn't have been.
Just gone to the Warriors, hasn't he?
Yeah, mate. He's great. And for a young guy, he's actually he's like yourself, mate. He's educated. He's on the ball. He invests, and he's a good dude.
Mate, but that's awesome.
I'll give Yui Aiken the third one.
All right, beautiful, great answer. Next question is from Byron Brennan 7. What was your best try in your career?
Oh, Jesus. Hey, you got an hour?
You got 7 of them.
Let me think. 4 of them were off kicks, I think. My first one. It was against the Knights. I was from Port Macquarie. Mum and Dad were there. Wasn't that there? No, she was in New Zealand. Actually, then another try I got in Newcastle. It was a game before the semi-final in 2018, and we'll be playing like shit. And I remember I got the ball, and apparently in the coach's box mirror, he's like, "Why that?" F did they give it to that bloke? And then I've stumbled over the line and scored.
I think I remember this actually.
Yeah, little hit and spin. And
was that when they flashed to Mary and Mary's saying it, and you can read his lips?
Yeah, he was blowing up.
I remember
it. But then he ended up giving me the player of the week. So that got us back in the game, and we ended up winning that game and going up and pumping Brisbane the next week. But, mum and dad and my wife and 2 kids were there. So that was pretty cool.
That's hectic. All right, next question is from Clarky AC. Big Clarkos. What is your favourite exercise in the gym? Half range chin ups or quarter range box squats?
Yeah.
There's a bit in that.
There is a little bit. Yeah, look, Clarky, I was a pain in his ass for 2 years at the Dragons. In terms of the gym, I'd just walk around annoying blokes and refusing to do things. Because knee tendonitis was always my excuse for me quarter range squats. And then I'd wonder why I had a sore back. But now I've got frigging Groover riding me in the gym, counting me reps. But probably the squats.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, next question is from Brendan Miller, 11. Lats, you're 18 years old. Again, you have an offer on the table from your favourite club. Which one is it?
When I was 18, post rugby league favourite club, or when I was 18?
When you're 18, when you're coming in.
Yeah, geez. I was a Brisbane Broncos fan as a kid. Back then too, they were hectic.
You played for the Port Macquarie Sharks?
Port Macquarie Sharks, yeah.
And you love the Broncos?
Yeah. I don't know. I might even a little bit of Queensland fan back then too. I don't know why. I know. No, I'm New South for life now. But I don't know. It would have been pretty cool to play for Brisbane.
Yeah.
And that was one of my probably my favourite ground to play at. I had a really good record there.
Awesome. All right. Last question is from D Han 94. The best forward you've played with, and then the best forward you've played against.
Yeah, wow. Best forward I played against. Love Tom Holloway.
Yep.
Just a guy and I've done all right. Like I've sprinted from marker, attacking around the legs, you beaut. Then a couple of times sprinted from marker and he stepped back into me and just buried me in the ground.
He's got a lethal right foot, hasn't he?
He can do anything. And, that's sort of where the game's going. They're strong, fast, powerful, not like us tall, skinny white guys who just have work ethic and no leg speed. I don't know. Who did I play with who I'd say was the best? I played with James Graham late in his career, and obviously Father Time had sort of caught up with his speed and stuff, but just his passion and his drive and his knowledge of the game. I would have loved to play with him in his prime, but
definitely. I mean, I can think of probably off the top of my head some guys you probably would have played with, like James Graham definitely would come to mind.
Luke Lewis,
Simon Mannering,
Michael Luck, and he's someone that not many people talk about, but mate, he was unbelievably tough. And Simon Mannering, like the most humble guy, and led that club and country for 10 years. And then you go into the pub and like no one would recognise him. He's just the man. Yeah, definitely.
100%. All right, big lads, mate. We'll wrap it up there, mate. Look, I really appreciate you coming on today. Thanks so much, mate. I'll see you down at the gym one time, all right?
No worries, mate. I'll take you through a session. And thanks for having me on, mate. And I hope some people get a bit more of an understanding of, what some of us battlers are like. Yeah.
Thanks, Buzz.
Cheers, mate.
All right, guys, that's it for today's episode of the Chad Townsend Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe in the iTunes and Spotify. You can also check it out on YouTube. Laters.